is up, everyone? It is another edition of Riding Home. This time, we are actually in the same car together. Matt DeBerry, Dylan Weber.
No
Matt.
Dean Legge today. We're here in Athens. Dylan, I guess we'll just jump right into it. You just watched practice. I know when I walked up, you said it was nothing really big that was going on. Anything stand out to you at all from today's practice?
The first thing I noticed was, the team looks a lot healthier than compared to last week. I think the only person I noticed who was missing was Lawrence Cager, but we kind of expected that this week. Questionable for Florida with the shoulder and rib injury. But, I think he'll be back for Florida. I don't think he'll practice this week. This is a perfect week not to practice.
Right.
Otherwise, Tyson Campbell is still out there, but he was working with the second team today. It looked like Tyreek Stevenson was working first-team corner.
Well, he's kind of earned it the way he's played the past couple weeks. I know it's really just kind of mop-up duty, especially last week. The game was kind of over, but the guy makes plays when he's in there. Going back to Lawrence Cager real quick, you said it was an arm and a what?
Shoulder. Shoulder, and Kirby didn't say it, but, we believe it's a rib injury right now as well. I think that might be the bigger part of it. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it is both a shoulder and rib.
I just got a whole bunch of texts today from my Florida buddy saying, hey, what's Georgia's injury report looking like? How many Dogs might miss the game in Jacksonville? I told him, Travon Walker was hurt a little bit. He was in a sling. Is that something serious or is that precautionary?
He had to have surgery on his wrist, forearm kind of area. So, whenever you have surgery, it is serious. When I first heard about it, I was told that the person sounded confident that he would be back for Florida. I haven't talked to him about it since, but I would start to be a little more skeptical of it, just because, he hasn't been really involved with the team at all since that surgery.
Yeah.
But I think there is still a possibility he plays, but right now I would shade on the side of he won't play against Florida.
And it's not like they exactly need him. He does play a good bit on third downs mostly, and he's made a little bit of an impact, but it's not like losing a guy like Jordan Davis who played against Kentucky. Everything okay with him? He's good to go now?
Yeah, everything seems good with him. I think there's probably, there's always at this point, if you've been injured in the season, it's probably going to stick with you at least a little bit.
Right.
That's just how football works.
Right.
We'd hate to see that re-aggravated, but I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities if it gets hit in a bad way.
Halfway through the season, you expect some type of injuries. It's not like Georgia's really banged up, I guess, compared to a lot of other teams out there, but definitely some key injuries there, especially Lawrence Cager. These Gator defensive backs are really good. Georgia's going to need him to try to play. At least he's been their biggest playmaker at receiver so far this year.
For sure. Because they're going to have probably some success jamming guys like George Pickens at the line. Just a freshman wide receiver. They're going to hit him hard right on the line of scrimmage. But a guy like Lawrence Cager, he's been around. He's done this shit for a while. And he is a physical wide receiver. And that's what you need against these Florida defensive backs.
Anything else? Did you watch more of the offense today or the defense or a little bit of everything?
I watched mostly the defensive start, and then I went and watched the offensive line. The offensive line looks like it's getting back to normal. It's a little... all the key players are out there and participating. Solomon Kinley is playing. Trey Hill, Cade Mays, Andrew Thomas, Isaiah Wilson, Ben Cleveland. They are all there and healthy, it seems like. They might have some lingering issues, especially a guy like Solomon Kinley with the ankle. But, they are all out there. And today, Solomon was working with the first team. Cade Mays was surprisingly not working with the first team. He was working second team right guard, but also started out working today at center, which he usually does in these practices. But it's hard to say exactly what the offensive line will look like in a couple of weeks. But right now, it looks like everyone is participating at least, which is more than you can say for the past few weeks.
A guy who has kind of had a rough couple weeks on the offensive line is Trey Hill at center. Is he still solidified that? Who's the number 2 there? I'm not saying that the kid's going to lose his job or anything like that, but it does seem like that's his spot, whether he's struggling a little bit or not. I didn't know if they were rotating anyone else there at center or anything like that.
It seems like the second team center is Cade Mays. And, they're not going to bench Trey Hill to put Cade Mays there.
Right.
Otherwise, Clay Webb is someone who's just not ready yet.
Right.
He's got potential down the line, but he's just not ready to take that role yet. Jamar Sawyer is a guy who practiced there a lot last year, but not as much this year. I mean, he's been working mostly at guard and tackle. I don't really know if he's worked much at all at center. I think they've kind of put, Cade Mays fully in that second team. And
I think when he first got here, they gave him some reps at center early on in last year.
Yeah, Jamari?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think he played a lot at center last year.
I got to ask, I did not cover the game last week against Kentucky. And before I say this, we have two of the coolest jobs out there. We get to cover the University of Georgia, but I was so glad I didn't have to cover that monsoon last week. How bad was that?
Dude, I mean, so it was just Dean and me. So,
Right.
and we had five camera bags because we had to bring in the rain gear too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Dean was like, "Hey, should we make 2 trips?" And I was like, "Hell no, we're not making 2 trips to the car." I was like, "We are bringing all this shit in at once. I don't care how hard it is."
You got to power through. You got to compete. Like Dean always says, you got to compete.
I mean, how many trips do you make to get your groceries out of your car?
One, you put as many bags on each hand as you can, and treat them like weights.
Same applies here. I'm not coming back in the rain for a 5th camera bag. I will carry 3 camera bags no matter how damn hard it is.
I live in Cumming, and it wasn't raining really much at all during the Georgia game that I watched on TV, but I know it was a monsoon here. They had some official visitors. It seemed like the recruits, watching it from TV, that the recruits were somewhere else. They weren't in their natural spot, obviously because it was raining so hard, but did have a few official visitors there.
God, poor weekend to choose. Who all was there, do you know?
5-star Eric Gilbert, who is announcing tomorrow, took his official visit to Georgia this weekend. Not expecting him to pick Georgia tomorrow. Marcus Rosemy, a guy that you've known for a while now, he took his official visit. Michael Henderson, committed to Oklahoma, 4-star athlete from Missouri. I think Georgia likes him at tight end. I think he's a guy that Todd Hartley and the staff is probably going to push for a little bit more. Michael told me, when I reached out to him afterwards, "Hey, how was your visit?" He said, "Hey, man, they're recruiting me pretty hard."
Well, because they're going to need that second tight end.
Yeah, they are.
If assuming that Georgia still stands strong with Darnell Washington.
And I think they do. I still think Georgia leads, but they're going to have to hold on to him. It's not a done deal, and they've done a great job with his visit in late July, getting him here. And then, of course, his official visit after the Notre Dame game. I thought Georgia had a comfortable lead. He's taken visits to Florida. I think he's got an official visit to Miami lined up. He's got an official visit to Tennessee in December. So this one's not over. He's one of the best prospects I've ever covered. Georgia needs him badly. I think Theo Johnson, that tight end from Canada, just outside of Detroit, it's going to be tough to get him away from Michigan and Penn State, I think. But, Eric is a guy who they've recruited a long time, but they're just not throwing to the tight ends, Dylan.
And the thing is, the tight ends have done well.
And they play. There's 2 out there a good bit. They're playing. They're blocking. So that's where I see the tight end group right now. But, yeah, it must have been tough sitting out there in the rain. I know you got to shoot from up top. It wasn't terrible for you.
It wasn't bad at all. Dean was in, it looked like he was duck hunting from a swamp. He had just full-on rain gear, these camo, rain boots. If this woman thinks he's coming out, it's just not
no way.
Happen.
No way, sweetie.
This traffic's awful.
Now, I was trying to think, watching the game, how many Georgia games were start to finish in rain. The 2009 game against Arizona State, the Sun Devils came here. A.J. Green saved the day, was the best player on the field all game, saved Georgia's ass. That was a monsoon like this. And then I think the Georgia-Alabama game in 2015 was really bad too. I was not here for that either, but
I just remember it on TV.
Well, it was flooding all week, and it was really bad in that game as well. But
Dean kept referencing the 2000 Ole Miss game, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was a ways ago. Dean's really showing his age there.
Yeah,
he's been doing this a long, long time, and I know it could not have been fun in that weather last weekend. But hopefully it's better in Jacksonville. I do think this was a big week for a bye week. Both teams have a bye, but I think Georgia needs this one badly, and it came at the right time.
They just need just to regroup. It was just 2 weeks, and there's been kind of the debate. How much did the rain affect the offense? Is that really a good excuse?
It's an excuse.
I think it's a fine one.
An excuse.
Yeah, I think they probably should have put up points earlier in the game.
Yeah.
But I think the play calling for what it was all right. Because it was, if you were there, you understand. It was bad. It was constantly, too. I mean, the ball was never dry.
Right.
Let's just get that straight. I mean, because you can rotate in balls as quick as you can and dry them off still, but they're just still not going to get dry.
If Jake Fromm could, had trouble throwing a wet ball, the Kentucky quarterback Bowden, he definitely had a hard time throwing the ball. So
I mean, he finished like 1 of 7 or something. He got 1 completion. For a long time, he did not have
I think
one.
he had 2 at the end.
Oh, he 2?
I think he had 2 at the end. I might be wrong there, but no, he was a hell of an athlete, though. They were saying on TV this kid could sneak into the first round, but he was making a lot of guys miss. I'd like to see the Falcons try to get him as a wide receiver.
I think as
later rounds. But no, he was a good athlete.
Maybe with the new pick.
Well, they got a new pick today, second round for Sanu. I won't talk about it that much. I know half the people listening to this don't care about the Falcons, even though they're probably all Georgia fans. But no, he was a good player, and Georgia held him in check. This defense, it does seem like they're getting better and better each week.
I mean, the defense has never really been too bad, I don't think. I mean,
right.
I've never seen once where I'm just like, sheesh, like, this defense is something to question. I mean, the offense this whole year has kind of been that. But the defense has been really solid all year.
Yeah. What's the one thing you want to see from the team this week heading into Florida? Is it offensive game plan? Is it... or should they just hand the ball off to Swift like they did last week? I mean, good things happen when DeAndre Swift has the ball. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, he is the only running back so far who I think has made... Besides maybe James Cook. James Cook's had a few of those kind of electric plays. But, I mean... Zamir White's a good bruiser. Brian Herrien runs really tough. But neither of them are making those just explosive plays that, Swift brings to the table. Yeah. And so I think, I think giving Swift the ball, 15 to 20 times a game is definitely something you got to do on offense. With James Coley, I think the offensive play call, I think me and everyone else and their mothers agree with this. It's just got to be, it's got to change. It's got to be varied. He gets a little too cute with it at times.
There's too much talent on this offense to just put up 30 against Vanderbilt and not put up 30 against Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame is good. They're not great. We're halfway through the season. Notre Dame's a fine team, but they're nothing special. And then putting up 21 against Kentucky, that shouldn't work. I know it was raining, but with all this talent on offense and that offensive line, a junior running back, junior quarterback, they got to put up more points, and it's not going to be easy against Florida.
Yeah, I mean, back to Kentucky, even if it is raining, that offensive line, that too, I want to see more push from the offensive line. I mean, if we're being honest. And maybe
especially short down situations.
Yeah.
But my thing is, you have all these guys who are 315, 320 pounds. It's kind of tough if you're trying to get 1 yard, and, it's tough to run between two guys who are 320 pounds, especially when they're loading the box. You got a crammed middle, a lot of guys in one area. I can see how it might be tough, but again, the coaches have to figure that out.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Maybe the offensive line, I think expectations were probably a little too high coming into the season. Not to say that they're bad, not to say that they have been bad, but, I mean, myself included, I thought this was going to be one of the best offensive line units ever.
I still think they are, but I don't think they're dominating in the way people are expecting. They definitely are.
I think they're one of the most talented, but I don't think they've shown that they're one of the best.
Yeah. I don't know who would be the best, and I guess you'd have to look, see how they grade out and this and that. I'm no expert, but there are others who are out there. But yeah, they got to get it together, because now I think Andrew Thomas is gone after this year. Isaiah Wilson is gone. This should be the best offensive line that this team has, for a while. You still have a lot of talent returning, but Andrew Thomas is going to be a top 10 pick easy.
Yeah, Isaiah Wilson, top 3 round, maybe. Probably has the talent to be a first round pick. I would say.
And Kenley could go too.
For sure. I mean, I wonder where he stands there. I mean, you'll get Trey Hill back. If you're a Georgia fan, you probably want to see more out of Trey Hill next year, and moving forward into this year too. You'll get Cade Mays back, who would probably be your left tackle next year.
Yeah.
I mean, and then after that, you get Jamari Sawyer, who's played a good
Jamari
bit.
Should be starting next year, just because they're losing guys. But
yeah.
Anything else before we wrap up from practice today? Last quick thoughts, or was it just one of those practices?
It was. I mean, it was a pretty brief practice. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. They, I'll say this: Kirby has said that they will not start preparing for Florida until later this week. But I mean, they had scout team out there. They had people in the Kyle Trask jerseys, number 11, on the scout team. So I mean, they are preparing for Florida.
And that kid can play. He's
He was
getting better
good.
and better each week. I think the loss of Felipe Franks was the best thing to happen to Florida. I hate to really say it like that, but just how I feel about it. All right, we'll wrap this up. Everyone, thanks for listening. We'll have Ugly Podcast tomorrow talking more about the Gators, some recruiting talk, and others. So appreciate y'all listening, and we'll see y'all next time.